Okay, awesome. Thank you, Jolene. Okay, we will start today's commission meeting with a prayer reading or thought by Wendy Wright, and followed by the pledge, Lisa Johnson.
Our Father in heaven, we are thankful for this opportunity to be gathered today as citizens, leaders, and staff in Utah County. We're thankful for the processes that we have here to participate in, and we're thankful for the strength and support that we can receive from each other. We ask you to bless us this day and throughout this meeting, that we can have kindness in our hearts and that we can move forward with the things that we'd like to accomplish. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Please repeat after me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great, thank you both. Next, we will have a recognition of the January 2026 Employee of the Month.
That's great. So I have the privilege of announcing our Employee of the Month this month. And so for this month, it will be Kaylee Lake, a health educator in the health department. Kaylee makes her way up here. I want to just her fellow employees sent a little bit of write-up, and they said, since joining the department, Kaylee has consistently demonstrated excellence, innovation, and dedication in her role as a health educator. Her work has had a measurable impact on food access, public health education, and community engagement across the region. Kaylee's leadership in grant writing and coalition building has been instrumental in advancing health equity. Her work spans a wide range of initiatives, from promoting farmers markets and SNAP benefits to support community gardens and workplace nutrition policies. Kaylee's ability to connect with stakeholders, develop sustainable programs, and advocate for underserved populations reflects her deep commitment to public health. Wendy Osborne, the founder and director of the Tabitha's Way Food Pantry, said, "It has been an honor working with Kaylee Lake. She has been a tremendous ally in helping our organization fight food insecurity, and it's instrumental in addressing determinants of health within our communities. Kaylee is passionate about helping organizations improve their services and work tirelessly to accomplish this work." So we thank you for all of your dedication to our county and to the citizens of the county, and recognize that helping every person have a good basis of nutrition improves public health. We'll take a picture up here for you. Thank you. I'll set these here. These will be for you, but
Sure.
We'll get a picture with your awesome certificate here. You got a new order now.
Awesome. Next, we have public hearings actually. So we will go into public hearings for agenda 1, 2, 3, and 4. We'll take a motion to go into public hearing.
Do we do them one at a time, Paul? Or we can do them all together? What do you think? Should we do them one at a time?
Look at the date on here. We can do them one at a time. That'll make sure we're hunky-dory, don't you think?
Okay. So
Or,
Dale says you can do them all.
okay.
all right, I will make a motion to open the public hearings. It's for the agricultural protection areas, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to open public hearing for the to hear and discuss the creation of new ag protection areas.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. So we will start with public hearing number 1 to discuss the creation of the new, I don't know, is it Rashlar 2025 Agriculture Protection Zone? Anybody from the public that would like to comment on this one? Rex, come on up.
Rex Larson, property owner. Part of this this property is Glen Ray's corn maze that we've worked with you to get in business and to we've been running now for 9 years, and we appreciate all of the support of the county as we work together to write the ordinance and move forward with our agritourism. Personally, I want to thank each of you for your response when I emailed you several months ago about changing the acreage requirement for the ag protection areas. As you remember, it was 40 acres, and I appreciate your response in getting it to a size that can actually protect more agriculture. The 20 acres will work to protect many more farms and ranches. The reason that we applied for this is Spanish Fork City has annexed all the way around our corn maze. And we feel like we need the protection that the APA, the Ag Protection Areas, afford to help us as we continue to operate our agritainment enterprise. And we appreciate the support that we have received. One thing I would like to ask is that the roadway that's on the west side of our property not be excluded from the ag protection area. I don't know, is there a picture that we can show them of that roadway? Oh, okay.
They're in that agenda.
Yeah, I took the opportunity to measure that from fence line to fence line. It's 22 feet. And the county is asking that we exclude a 56-foot right-of-way. I would like to not exclude anything. It's just a dirt road. It's a trail at best. If you took one of your cars down that road, you wouldn't have an oil pan when you finished. And so it's really not a road. And so I would, and if you can't exclude all of it, then put it what it is 22 feet. And so I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Rex.
Rex.
Do you have any questions?
Maybe later.
Chair, Commissioners, thank you. My name is Jackie Larson, and I'm speaking on behalf of Bill Thomas, who's the property owner of the 9-acre parcel in addition to Rex's being requested to be included in this ag protection area application. So I also want to address the request for Utah County Public Works to remove the 1800 West roadway that they have identified as the 56-foot right-of-way from the proposed APA. So while it may appear to be minor adjustment on paper, it has real on-the-ground consequences from the ag operations. So as Rex also mentioned, Utah County does own roughly a 25-foot strip for the existing gravel dead-end road, and immediately adjacent to that strip on the Thomas parcel runs an active irrigation ditch that parallels the road and delivers water to this field and other properties that it historically serves. So that ditch lies within the same corridor that Public Works is asking you to exclude from the APA. Removing it would separate irrigation infrastructure from the farmland it serves and weaken the continuity of agricultural use and the landowner is specifically requesting to protect. So this concern is also consistent with the county's own legislative intent that the RA5 residential agricultural zone, which recognizes irrigated land, water availability, and agricultural infrastructure as essential to viable agriculture, and directs the county to protect those functions from premature fragmentation. So I also want to note the issue of consistency. So just 75 feet roughly east of Rex's property is the Leland 2023 APA. It's, I want to say, about 260 to 290 acres, and it retained fully the road widths, including the minor collector, and also I-15 on both sides, because it spans both sides of it. The Leland APA is contiguous with the Money APA of about 6,000 acres. It also includes the roadways. And the Larson 2025 APA, contiguous to that Leland APA, was approved by Spanish Fork City Council unanimously, with the roadways also included. So since his approvals established a clear practice that the roadways remain within the APAs where they function as part of the agricultural operations and infrastructure, we're just requesting that this corridor remain inside the APA to protect ag function today and avoid incremental loss through the preemptive exclusions. So same with regs, we just ask that the entire width with that be included. Thanks.
Thanks, Jackie.
Anybody else for the number one?
Yes, my name is Jay Irvine. I'm a resident of Spanish Fork there. And on Scenic Drive, which is the road directly to the north of the proposed area, we have been a homeowner in that area for 45 years. And we've seen, the explosive growth that is going on in the Spanish Fork area at the current time, and open spaces are rapidly disappearing. And so I'm concerned from that standpoint that we need to make a concerted effort to retain some of these areas, especially the open spaces area that are disappearing. A second concern that I have is that when the subdivision was originally built about 47 years ago, the original property owner had to install 2 major drains to drain the groundwater that was flowing through this particular area and down over the hillside into this agricultural protection area. And subsequently, as the area has developed along Scenic Drive there to the north side of this area, several of the homeowners in the process of making landscaping improvements on the backside of their property, which is adjacent to this agricultural protection area, and other improvements, have actually hit the water table there and caused some significant flooding. In fact, one of our neighbors lost about half of his backyard, was very concerned he was going to lose his whole property at one point because of the washout of from the water table there. So my concern is that I don't want to lose my backyard from any from development that might occur, in this particular area, especially because of the low water table in that particular location. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jay.
Anybody else for item one? Okay, we'll move to item number 2, public hearing to discuss the creation of the new Thompson family farm. Anybody would like to comment from the public?
I think if I was to clarify, I think his comments were closer to the Thompson and referencing that.
Oh, okay.
So, yep.
Okay.
Yep. So.
Perfect.
Diane Garcia, owner of the property for this ag protection area. And yes, the previous comment was a property owner that is to the north of my property. I'm requesting this ag protection area and excited, just like Rex, that the acreage was changed from 40 to 20 so that I could then participate in this. As development has started to squeeze me, it is important for me to have that protection to continue to do agriculture and to have those protections from frivolous lawsuits and people who don't understand agriculture operations. That's basically it.
Great, thank you, Matt. Anybody else for number 2, the Thompson family farm? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to item number 3, public hearing to discuss the creation of the new Beck family farm.
I'm Jeff Vincent, and I'm on number 2. Reading the paper, are they wanting to get rid of the right-of-way up the road in River Bottoms, or just leave it the way it is?
Yeah, during the agenda item, there'll be better discussion on that.
Yeah, I was just curious because it shows like they wanted to do away with the road. Well, that's the road that comes in front of my house. So.
Yeah, nothing with the road, we'll get into the roads at the agenda item.
Yeah, I agree with protecting the property too, but I don't need the road closed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Jackie, are you for the Beck Farm?
Yes.
Perfect.
Again, get comfortable with me because I got more on the next one. So I'm the applicant on this one, and my family does own the property. So I mean, I don't have anything else to add to it. But if you have any questions later, feel free to ask.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else for the Beck Family Farm? Great. Moving on to number 4, public hearing to discuss the creation of the new D.W. Miller Land Livestock.
Okay, so I have a bit of a dissertation on this one, but I wrote it all down. So bear with me. So again, my name is Jackie Larson. I am the applicant for the D.W. Miller Ag Protected Area application. So first, I want to begin by grounding this application in something familiar. The policies that Utah County has already adopted. So policies that already tell us what success looks like when it comes to agriculture. Those policies recognize that agriculture is not just a legacy use, it is a significant ongoing economic use of land that deserves strong protection in land use planning. The county's land use objectives are clear. They state that Utah County should maintain prime and other agricultural land in active production, retain the rural character of unincorporated Utah County, and safeguard areas served by irrigation systems from non-farm development, including protection of irrigation infrastructure and systems. The county also states that it should actively support methods that preserve agricultural land and provide landowners with tools to keep working farms working. The Ag Protection Area is one of those tools. So this application simply puts those adopted policies into action on the ground, using the exact tool the county's already identified to keep farmland in production, protect irrigation infrastructure, and support long-term agricultural viability. So where agriculture is already happening and where landowners intend for it to continue. So when this ag protection application was first submitted, it covered roughly 140 acres. On its own, it met the county's criteria. But what happened next is what gives this proposal a little bit more meaning. So to understand that, it helps to understand how the APA process actually works. So when the application is filed, the county is required to mail a notice to surrounding property owners within 1,000 feet. Those landowners are given 15 days from the date of the letter to request inclusion or removal. That 15-day window includes the time it takes for the letter to be typed, printed, mailed, delivered, opened, and understood before someone can even respond. So by any measure, that is already a very short window. And yet, despite that narrow window, landowners reach out, some beyond that notice area of 1,000 feet, asking to be included. So in less than 2 weeks, neighboring landowners spanning roughly 1 mile voluntarily requested that their private property be added. That did not happen because of pressure. It did not happen because of confusion. It happened because the people understood the value of this designation, and that response matters because it shows that this application reflects not just individual intent, but a shared intent among active agricultural landowners to protect working farms, irrigation systems, and long-term agricultural use. This land functions together as agriculture, and the intent is to keep it that way, and it's shared across property lines. So the D.W. Miller Ag Protected Area before you today reflects that collective intent. So that context matters when we turn to the staff requested modifications. So while the landowners came forward voluntarily to add their private property, the staff has requested removing land based on concerns related to a future transportation planning. So I want to address how ag protected areas interact with transportation and the misconception or the idea that approving an ag protected area somehow interferes with the transportation corridors. That's not what Utah law says. Under Utah Code Title 17, Chapter 81, the legislator created the ag protected areas with the express understanding that public infrastructure still exists and still must be planned. The statute is explicit that an APA may include land used for a roadway so long as roadway acreage is a minority of the total area. That language was intentional, and the legislator did not exclude roads. They built coordination into the statute so APAs and transportation planning can coexist. What the APA does is it required infrastructure planning to be balanced, thoughtful, and respectful of ongoing ag operations, rather than allowing ag to be preemptively displaced. And in practice, that improves transportation planning. So once land is in an APA, it encourages collaboration early, leading to alignments that avoid fragmenting fields, avoids severing irrigation systems, and avoids causing detrimental impacts to farm operations. that benefits both transportation outcomes and agricultural viability. A line on a map does not create a reserved right-of-way, and that's not just my opinion. The Utah County's own general plan states in section 6.02b that Utah State Code does not currently allow transportation corridors as identified in a jurisdictional general plan to be held open or as open land for future transportation development without purchase of the proposed corridor. So the county cannot hold land for a corridor unless it actually acquired it through the proper process. And land can only be reserved through engineering, environmental review, public input, and fair compensation, not by preemptively limiting ag operations. So, to also raise one more concern about about the position that this puts me in as the applicant. As the applicant, I don't own every parcel that's in this APA. So when discussions shift to carving out other people's farmland based on speculative future roadways, that places the applicants and landowners in an unattainable position. The APA process was never intended to function as a pre-condemnation tool, and Utah law already provides procedures for roadway planning and acquisition. Until a real project reaches that stage, the APA statute serves a different purpose, to protect ag operations. So, add some context to why this kind of makes sense based on my family's own experience, and why it's not just a conceptual corridor, but it actually undermines good planning. So a few years ago, we sold 100 acres to the county for the Lower Mountain Parkway. Early plans showed a clean straight line, but once engineers worked through wetlands, irrigation systems, water rights, slopes, and farm-by-farm impacts, the alignment shifted by hundreds of feet in some places. That's why Lower Mountain Parkway shifts or curves the way that it does today. So it's not because planners lacked vision or couldn't draw a straight line, but quite frankly, it's because Glenn and Richard worked with landowners to lessen harm. When the real world conditions will always force change, that same reality applies here to this corridor that we're asking about today. The corridor shown is not the alignment the engineers will ultimately design. So, which brings me actually to the specific request before you, now that we have a lot of context. So, Utah County Public Works is wanting to remove 8 different proposed future roadway widths from this ag protected area. I'm asking that you not make those modifications. If the county wants to exclude the parcels of land it already owns, that's fine. Although to be honest, there isn't really a need to. But if you choose to do that, I ask that it should be limited strictly to the physical width of the parcels what the county actually already owns. And several of those even overlap, but everything beyond that, my request is simply no. So that request does not match the county's adopted transportation master plan. The adopted plan shows a different alignment than what is asking to be removed. The request says to remove the future 8,000 south 132-foot right-of-way from 8,000 south and 3,200 west to 8,000 south and 5,600 west. The county is currently and actively working on obtaining right-of-way for a future 8,000 south corridor, but the adopted plan shows a different alignment entirely. The county's adopted general transportation plan shows the proposed arterial connecting from 8,000 south and 3,200 west to 8,000 south and 4,500 west. So 4,500 west, not 5,600 west. It's kind of where it shows it aligned. And that is not actually what's on the transportation plan, is not what the county is asking you to remove. So when you compare that to the MAG regional transportation plan, the picture shifts even more. The corridor is classified as a needs-based 3, so it's lower in the priority, and it's not in the fiscally constrained plan. So meaning there's no funding, there's no environmental work or impact studies, no engineering, and realistically no movement by even 2050. So at the MPO level, this is not a project, it's a big light on a map. So staff has also said that the county is actively securing right-of-way. Based on my direct involvement with UDOT, their leadership, and the Benjamin Interchange project, that statement requires some clarification. The only segment actively being pursued on the west tied to the interchange project is from I-15 to roughly 2,700 west, so the second railroad tracks out there, so not quite where the road tees out at 32, so it's a little bit before that. The 3-mile stretch west of 3,200 west, where no road exists and which staff wants carved out of this APA, is not an active project. It's not funded, it's not studied, it's not aligned with the county's adopted plan or MAG's constrained plan. So that distinction matters. And when Public Works says that the county is actually securing right-of-way, that might be true for the interchange segment, but not the long stretch that they want to exclude from this APA where no road exists. I'm almost done. So the entire area between 3200 West and 5600 West includes springs, wetlands, dry hollow, Bear Creek, Spring Creek, and the Benjamin Slough hydraulic system. They're not conceptual features. They are court-decreed water rights, protected hydraulic systems, and jurisdictional wetlands. And this ties directly to my experience when the county built that 132-foot Lower Mountain Parkway. The early planning line showed that also looked clean and straight, but once the engineers confronted real-world constraints on the ground, the final road bore almost no resemblance to the original line. And that straight line for an idea of a road that the county staff is requesting to be excluded from this ag protected area cannot survive the environmental review. The hydrology constraints alone make that shifted corridor alignment environmentally infeasible as it's drawn, and that alignment will move significantly. I'm going to skip ahead, if that's okay, if I'm sure you don't mind. So, last thing I want to touch on is that there's also a direct operational impact that cannot be ignored, that deserves equal attention and must be considered if the corridor is forced through as it is. And it creates an entirely different set of problems for ag operations. The D.W. Miller property is irrigated by well line irrigation. That property is to be bifurcated by the road as it's depicted by staff to be excluded from this APA proposal. So well line irrigation only works when a field remains intact. The irrigation line rolls across the field in a fixed direction and water supplied by a single riser. So when a road is placed perpendicular to that movement, the system no longer functions. The riser remains on only one side of the field or of the road, and then the portion of the land on the other side loses access to water for its beneficial use. And that's not a minor inconvenience. That is immediate fragmentation, a physical impairment of water delivery infrastructure that directly interferes with the exercise of vested water rights. So what was once a single fully irrigated field becomes two broken pieces. One side continues to receive water, and the other is unable to receive water for its court-decreed beneficial use, place of use, and point of return, and it loses production entirely. So, okay, we'll just close all that, wrap it all up together. So, landowner intent. I feel like it matters, and hear that the intent is clear, unified, and voluntary. The proposal began at 140 acres. Within 2 weeks, more than 50 parcels, over a mile of contiguous farmland chose to join, and it grew to over 1,000 acres. That is a community speaking with one voice, that this land is agriculture, it functions as agriculture, and it's intended to remain in agriculture. Road planning must respond to a demonstrated land use and not speculation. So for all those reasons, I just respectfully ask that you approve the D.W. Miller Ag Protected Area in full, including all the parcels that want to be added in, but do not exclude the road widths that the county is asking to have taken out of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else for D.W. Miller?
My name's Dave Reed, and I border Mr. Miller's property. I'm in full support of that agricultural area because I've lived this nightmare before. So I had a farm in Draper, and because the county wanted to develop and the city wanted to develop, I lost. And about 5 other families did for the sake of the Bangor Highway and for future development. So I was here to another meeting, and they talked about fair market value will be given to people that lose their property. And I just want everybody to know the fair market value is not sustainable to be able to acquire like properties. And so I'm off on a tangent again because I'm kind of off because I moved down here because I wanted agriculture, and now we want to put a road in there and develop this whole area. So I just want to let everybody know that beware of government entities when they come in to purchase your or take your property. So I'm just in full support here.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Come on up.
My name's Julie Sainsbury, and I live out on West Mountain. And I have some of the acreage that was requested to be added to the Miller Protection Area. Just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of insight of why that spread so quickly. out there, we are county, and you are our representatives, our voice. But sometimes things happen that we are completely unaware of. Like even for that matter, just this ag protection area, nobody was notified but adjacent landowners. But yet, did you see how fast it went? So that policy to notify just adjacent landowners for any type of notifications, it would be beneficial if that was looked at and changed. But we've had out on West Mountain where motocross areas have been tried to be approved. Only people who are adjacent landowners get notified. We've had gravel pits be approved, but only adjacent landowners get notified. We had a big shooting range that was approved, didn't go through because once the residents in West Mountain found out about it and began to give their input. So what I'm trying to express is that these things happen to our agriculture community, and the majority of us have no idea what's even happening. And so we are banding together. We do appreciate being able to run our land and live in an agriculture community. And so please approve us with this agriculture protection area. We want to continue to farm. And some of these things are approved, like the motocross or the shooting. We have livestock out there. We have orchards out there. So even though you might say it's, X amount of distance away, it still impacts us because we need, our livestock and not the air quality coming down on our orchards. Please protect our community and please approve this. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Anybody else? Okay, great. We will take a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now it's time to build the agenda. Anything on the consent that you would like to hold?
None from me.
I had none.
I would like to continue 19 to the next meeting. There's some work I'd like to look at. If you're fine with that.
February 4th?
Yes.
On number 19, our current contract expires on Saturday.
How easy is it for me to amend it after signing it today? Plan says easy.
We should be able to.
Okay, I'd like a little less service, so that will be possible.
Oh yeah.
We can always adjust service. That
Yep.
agreement allows us to.
Okay, then that's fine.
Okay.
We'll leave it. Thank you. It helps to pay attention. Good job, Richard.
You're good there then?
Yeah.
Could
Okay.
we also hold 5 just for a minor tweak?
Hold it for a regular agenda.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, moving into regular.
5, 6, 7, and 8.
Okay, 5, 6, 7, 8,
9.
9. I have that one. 12 for
Highlight
me.
12. Okay.
Yep.
Were we okay on all the 13 property tax actions?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Good there. I didn't see the names on 14.
So we'll hold 14. And then closed just 16 and 19. Does that sound right?
That's all I have. Yeah.
So striking 17 and 18.
You need a motion to strike the work session.
All says no.
Just not happening. Okay.
Strike it in consent.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move work session striking to the consent agenda. Okay, looks good, Jolene.
Okay, on the consent agenda, we're going to hold number 5. On the regular agenda, we're holding 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, number 12, and number 14. On the closed, we'll hold number 16, we'll strike 17 and 18, and hold number 19, and we will strike the work session.
Okay, looks good. Let's start with consent number 5, Ezra.
Okay, I was hoping to get comments back from MAG on this transition agreement. As you know, you passed a version of this at your last meeting. There were a few negotiations that they had offered, and we're just trying to button up the last piece on the time reporting. And so to avoid having to bring this back so we can hopefully continue to move this process forward, I would just like your permission to finalize the negotiation on that time reporting piece. Hopefully the version that's on today is what gets approved, but if they have any changes, if hopefully they're minor, we can move forward and make those adjustments if you give me the authority to do that.
I'm fine with that. I'm gonna make a motion to approve item number 5, giving the authority to the county administrator to negotiate the time reporting portion.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving on. I guess we'll just take these one at a time. So regular agenda number 5. Kevin or Dale, who wants to?
Okay, so this is the Reschler. So before we get started on that, do you have any questions just right off the bat of what ag protection is or is not?
No, I think we needn't get too muddied with the. I mean, we're going to
Okay.
talk roads, but we got to celebrate today as well.
Let's do
Like,
that.
let's make sure that. I mean, Rex and I talked 3 years ago about doing this, and we move fast in government, so we're here today.
Yeah.
And we're down to the 20 acres from 40, and I think it's something we need to make sure that.
And that does show that we are, as staff, as the general plan, as the county, we actually are in favor of these proposals.
We're here to
we are in favor of agriculture. So I
let people
hope that
farm as
portrays.
long as they want to farm. 100%.
Do you have a clicker or? Okay. Go to. Keep going. Right there. Okay, so let me get in the right one here as well. So this one here's the Reschler. So this one is Rex. No, let's see. Yes, this one is Rex's. So it's his corn maze that is just located off the Benjamin exit. As you can see, it is surrounded by, we have Salem and Spanish Fork around there. Salem to the south in red and Spanish Fork in the purple or pink or whatever color that is. It's approximately 20 acres and it is prime farmland, so it does meet those requirements. It is in the RA5 zone. And just barely to the north is the Leland APA, as was mentioned earlier. This is also in the Spanish Fork annexation policy plan. They were notified and had no comment one way or the other. Go ahead and go to the next one there. And one more. So as you can see also, of course, everything is currently, it is farmland around there, as was mentioned too, a little bit further to the east. Spanish Fork is developing some more residential, and we know that area is developing quite a bit as well. And then through that process, as was mentioned, there's that 15-day period where people can protest or request modifications. The parcel to the west there in blue was requested to be added. And then the Public Works asks for that road in black to be withheld as a 56-foot right-of-way.
Next question on that. Can you help us understand why 56 versus the 22 that was measured?
I will turn that to
now.
Public Works.
Richard Nelson, Public Works Director. The 56 foot is our standard county local road cross section. That's why the 56 foot was the number that was selected there. 1800 West is an existing county road. As Rex mentioned, it's only about 22 feet wide. And this is kind of a general statement that would apply to all of these. One of the things that we look at from the public works side of it is we look at these ag protection areas. We feel like we have an obligation to the community as a whole, not just to the ag community, but to everybody in the county, to look at these potential road right-of-ways, and at least make sure that the commission's aware of those corridors that are in these proposed areas, make you aware of them so that you know that they're there. One of the things that we have done consistently in the past and would continue to do in the future, even in areas where we have active ag protection that we've done road projects, we work with the landowners and have purchased property through ag protection areas. And we try to make sure that we do that very consistently and very carefully to minimize the disruption to agriculture. But whether these are excluded or not doesn't change how we approach the approach to the roadways and how it works with active agriculture and trying to make the roads work in conjunction with them.
So to follow up on that statement, Richard, if it doesn't affect it, why would we want to remove it?
Because in the event that we do get into a condemnation situation, by having it in the ag protection area, it does add extra steps to the process for a condemnation action. To me, that's the primary reason that you would leave it out. As far as how we go about it and how we have typically done it in the county over the last 35 years, we have not done condemnation actions. They're very rare. So either way is okay with us. We just want to make sure that the commission is aware of those road corridors that are out there.
I think I wrote that down. Glenn and Richard were mentioned, right? As they're good to work with.
Mhm.
They might not be here all the time. So, pointing that out, right? Like good relationships exist and hopefully those continue.
We try to do that.
I see what you're getting at. So can I ask, as far as all four go, are you asking, is this a specific road that you're, next to Rex's?
No, we looked at roads.
All four?
We looked at roads in all of them. I think the question came up on the one in the river bottoms. And maybe just a clarification there, we're not looking at closing the roads. It would be keeping the road corridor, River Bottoms Road in particular, excluded. What it does is also opens the door if we need to widen these existing corridors. But again, if we have to go buy property to widen it, we're still going to have to go work with the property owners either way. So
the road being in ag, does that have any effect on neighboring properties' use of the road?
I don't believe so.
The landowner.
You got to be on record.
Yeah, the ability for another landowner, they still have the landowner that owns that property by deed still has the right to it. Now, most county roads are by prescription, right? We have an easement there, and that's what we're going to maintain. So, for instance, Rex pulled out that 22. That's really what we're going to be able to defend, that we've used, the public's had access to. Outside of that, again, we're going to work with those landowners and seek to, buy that property out through whatever process we can attain it through, either appraisals or coming to some negotiation with them. So. And another landowner couldn't come in and necessarily force them to have to give up that. It could affect the development rights of another one, though. In essence, they couldn't make those improvements.
That influence on neighboring development is more so when it's in ag protection, or equal?
I would say it's equal.
I'd say it's probably equal.
Okay.
And if I live on the other side of a property and I want to get utilities to it, I need to ask permission to go through that ag road
Regardless.
if I'm putting it down the middle of the road?
So two caveats too here. So again, if it's within the prescriptive easement, we have granted utility placement. If it goes outside of that, so again, let's say that 22 feet, we're on Rex's property now and they want to run a utility on, they've got to obtain an easement from that landowner.
But regardless of whether
Correct.
it's in, yeah.
You got it.
Okay.
That doesn't make a difference.
Bryce Armstrong, Community Development. From a land use perspective, ag protection doesn't change the underlying zone or uses allowed or permitted. It doesn't add uses. It doesn't eliminate uses. So it's just a protection for operations against nuisance lawsuits.
So, Richard, Rex addressed width.
Mm-hmm.
Does this apply in all four, meaning 22 feet versus, are you asking for 56 in all, or Like I know River Bottoms Road
The,
is
the,
more
the,
narrow.
each one is specific. It's
Okay.
based on what the classification of the roadway is. So like this one being a local road would be the 56, and 8,000 is, and I think Jackie had mentioned 132. There's different widths depending on the classification of the roadway.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I'm asking that because, I heard Rex say, if you do any 22 feet, what's there? And to Glenn's point, that's what we could defend is what we were
Right.
doing.
I believe that's fence to
I
fence.
just wanted to
Rex.
point
Yeah.
that out. And I was thinking, did Mount Loafer Parkway cost us more as a result of the meandering and things? Like I recall back cutting
Yeah,
a ribbon,
but it had nothing to do with
it
any ag
wasn't
protection.
anything ag protection that it
had to
cost
do
four
with
times more.
it had to do with the wetland mitigation
Okay.
and avoidance that we had to deal with. So
Gotcha. And I go there because that's our job, right? We're going to assess all taxed people in the county to pay for roads.
if we could have built a straight road through there, it would have been a lot more cost effective for us.
Yeah.
But we have to live within the framework that we have.
Okay. Yeah. And I asked the utility question because I think you two might be aware of the north end of Spanish Fork, the boundary commission, situation where utilities are right here and the Money family is saying, wait, I'm supposed to go into Springville, but Spanish Fork's right there, and they made an adjustment, right? Springville didn't love it, but our boundary commission weighed in on that and made that decision. But I don't want to hurt another private property owner whose wishes around
Right.
an ag protection area. But
Although I'm hearing that there isn't any.
Yeah, if that's the case, if I don't need to, I have to ask anyway, in or out, then that argument's dead. I have to.
Well, okay.
Because it sounds like those easements don't go down the middle of the road, right? Is that, or they could? Because if
you're talking utility easements.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we look at, like Glenn had mentioned on the utilities, if they're within the prescriptive right of way, so within the fences that are currently there on that public road, then we will allow it, even if the underlying land is in somebody else's name, because it's the adjacent landowners that come out into that prescriptive road right of way. We have allowed utilities within that road right of way. If they go beyond that, out into, beyond the fences, out into those fields, they have to go approach the individual landowners and work out some kind of a deal with them.
Okay, so maybe Mr. Larson, I have a question for you if you'll come up. On kind of help me understand why you would like the road included.
In the ag protection?
Yeah.
Just because what is mentioned in future, if something happened and eminent domain became a possibility, that then they have to come to the table with us and discuss and decide what we're doing and what they want to do and make sure that we, if we have to get the private property rights ombudsman's office involved to get a fair value for it, then ag protection gives some of those opportunities to us that if it wasn't in ag protection, we wouldn't have. So that's my reasoning.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Richard or Bryce, would your understanding of that be the same? So there is an extra mechanism if it was being condemned only.
Yes,
it's an extra hurdle.
It would be something where if the county were to go in and look at eminent domain, do a condemnation action, one of the additional steps we'd have to do with an ag protection area in place, we do have to go to the ag board prior to coming to the commission to get a I don't know if it's a recommendation or it's not a ruling on it, is it?
From the ag
ag
board?
board, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a recommendation. But you also have to look at all other alternatives available for the condemnation action,
Could we move the road to a different location, things like that? So,
which I think probably happens anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this is a very interesting scenario. Okay, any comments on one? Thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think I appreciate hearing, as Rex says, the shorter width, as I mentioned earlier, the 22 feet still gets to negotiate, doesn't need the 56. This particular one, for me, as we're taking them one by one, we have an obligation to build roads for also all around it and maintain them, and our partners at UDOT have expressed their desire for this area. I think it helps continue to. So I would entertain something to, like Rex was saying, if we were less, take that 22 feet out that's existing.
That's kind of where I lean on this. It's an existing county road. It's on a county map. We've got existing area in it. I understand why the 56 was requested because that's the standard. But if fence to fence is 22 and that's what's defensible, I don't think we should take more than that. So
They'll be there talking just like they did Mountain Loafer.
Right. And anything beyond that 22, anything beyond his fence line, they would have to go to him and get permission, which I think they should have to. Right. And that also still gives him ag protection, which gives him the additional protections that he needs if there was an eminent domain. I agree. I think with Glenn and Richard and this commission, I don't have any concerns with it, but next year there'll be a different commission, and in a few years Glenn and Richard won't be here, and I think
hopefully Glenn.
Hopefully Glenn will. Well, I say a few years, I mean like 20. I hope Glenn hopes. I hope you plan to retire someday. I want you to enjoy your family someday. So I would lean towards the 22. I think that's a good compromise.
You have anything?
It's not going to. I'm going to support the motion to do that, but I lean towards including the road. I think the extra burden goes to the intent of our desire to protect agriculture. If it affected neighboring properties' rights to develop, or it was an extra hurdle to get the road widened, but the fact that you just have to go an extra step to prove the need and the requirement, I think is important to the intent of protecting agriculture. It's kind of like getting in the way for a little bit, and I think that's kind of what we were shooting for. But it will not change. I will support you guys in removing the road for sure.
Yeah.
Anybody else, or we'll take a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the creation of the Reschlar Ag Protection Area with the 22-foot road right-of-way removed.
I will second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Kevin, number 6.
Okay, excuse me. So the next one is the Thompson. For the sake of time, I think if we just skip to that last slide there, they're fairly similar of uses of zones. And so you can see on this last one, it is divided by that River Bottoms Road there. And they were requesting also a 56-foot right-of-way to be removed from Public Works.
Richard or Glenn, any difference in this one than the last one?
Probably the main difference on this one from the last one, the difference in River Bottoms Road versus 1800 West. River Bottoms is a paved road, definitely more used than what 1800 West is. I don't know the distance on it, but it's probably 20.
It's about 14 feet.
No, that's Bradford Lane. That's Bradford Lane. River Bottoms is probably 22 feet of asphalt, and then a couple of feet of shoulder on either side of that. But the Millrace Canal is on the southwest side of the road, through there, right adjacent to the roadway. So,
does this affect the? You got a culvert project or something going on?
That's
there
a little bit further south and east.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions, comments, motion?
Does any of this affect any irrigation or anything?
Oh, that's Glenn did bring up a good point there. And with irrigation, Central Utah Water Conservancy is doing some negotiations, discussions, high level discussions with the irrigation companies, looking at the mill race and potentially piping it for water savings. I don't know if they've got very far with that yet, but that is one thing that would be a consideration along that corridor adjacent to the roadway where the existing canal is. Downstream from there, the canal is piped down to the fairgrounds, but they are looking at the potential of this actually getting piped all the way through the river bottoms. That'd be the only irrigation facility that I'd be aware of. So,
With the piping, is it, this isn't the one that they're looking at doing a trail, right?
that's the Highline Canal. That's
higher up,
further
right?
south. Yep.
That's what I thought. So it would just be the piping of it.
Yes.
But shouldn't they have a right of way on that? Shouldn't the irrigation company have a right of way?
They would likely have a prescriptive right of way similar to what we have for the roadway.
Regardless of ag protection or not.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, that's what I've always understood is that your irrigation companies have a right of way there. So an ag protection wouldn't affect that.
And they're going to work with the farmer. I don't want to speculate, but I would assume Diane would like it embittered. But am I wrong? If to have that pipe, if they were to help him, you do not want it piped. Okay, understood. Interesting. So,
I mean, not relevant, I don't think, to this.
Yeah. If they were at the table though offering help and improvements along the farm with the Gordons, we would be supportive of something like that. I guess that's why I speculated that.
Right.
But if it doesn't apply to her, that's
irrigation companies typically have the right of way, right?
Okay, any other questions, comments? Take a motion.
What are you thinking on the road?
I mean, level of consistency here. I mean, it's the same type of.
I think the only difference being this one's paved, and so there's already, if there's 22 feet of pavement, what would you need for the shoulders?
What we've consistently done on a prescriptive right of way, and I think this is backed up with state law and case law, is the traveled surface plus a reasonable shoulder. And we typically look at that at 4 feet off the edge of asphalt if there's no fences. If there is a fence, the fence defines it.
Okay.
So
4 feet off of each shoulder?
Mm-hmm. And we could go out and verify.
So it'd be like 30 feet. 30 feet or fence line.
Yep. And we could go out and define that in the field if we need to.
Do we, for making a motion, do we need to have like a certain number of feet, or can we say reasonable? Do we need?
I think so.
Yeah, reasonable is very different.
I know.
Very many people.
Well, if there's law.
Bell's nodding his head. Yes, we need feet. So
we need what? 30? You want feet? Okay. All right. I'll make.
That's an attorney term.
I can make a motion to approve item number 6 with a 30-foot roadway.
Second.
And before taking a vote, I'll make record of my same. I think it should include the road, but I'm still supporting the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Number 7.
Okay, so this one, the area in blue was the original request. The areas in orange, and just pretend they're all the same color orange, were added later. You can see one down on the bottom that has an X through it. That one was a request to add, but clearly it is not contiguous with the rest, so that one would not be included. Then we have the roads. So first of all, you can see up at the top, kind of in the blue, it's the future road for 8,000. And that one is one where they are requesting the 132 feet. The others are all existing roads, and I've color coordinated them with size. So the black are 56 feet. The yellow is 84. Oh, sorry. Yellow is 84, and then also that second blue one is 84.
Is that 84 as it sits today?
I don't have a measurement on the road.
That's right of way.
That's right of way.
Yeah, the loop road there that you see in black, it would be 56. It's a relatively new road. development road that happened 5 years or so ago. That would be a 56-foot. The further south, blue and yellow, it's 8400 south. Those would probably be in the neighborhood of about 40 feet currently. But on the master plan would be for a collector road, that'd be the 84 feet.
84, you said?
It'll vary.
Yep. But that's what the master plan was.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, existing would vary, but it's approximately 40 feet today.
But it is on the master plan as a collector.
Correct.
I'm fine with them having to do the extra protection on that one. 8,000, the future road there, is that the one that there's currently an environmental study going on?
Yeah, we are working with a consultant on it right now. From I-15 to 5600 West, we have an alignment laid out. We have them working on what the right-of-way takes would look like on that. We are doing a high-level environmental study on it to look at alignments. We have not delved into a deep environmental full-blown study on that.
We don't even know if that could be the line.
It's pretty likely it will be. From what we've seen so far. So.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Just to clarify, for the future road with the ag protection, they would just have one more step to go to the ag board.
Only if we go to condemnation.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't apply if we have a willing seller.
If you have willing sellers and
correct.
Okay.
Yep.
That's not a big deal. I'm fine with that.
Okay, we'll take a motion.
You have the
I'm thinking just if existing road at 56, because that's what exists today.
even on the 84 wide ones.
Yeah, I mean they're 40, but we could separate the two, or we could just, it's less than what these guys are requesting, but it's already an existing road. And then on the future roads, I'm fine not even including them right now. Just let them go through either purchase the land or go through ag protection, go through the ag council. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve item number 7 with existing roads at 56 foot exempted, all other roads not. No exemption for those.
Second.
Okay, and once again, I support including the roads in ag protection. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Last one, number 8.
Last one. So this one's the Beck Farm, and it's also just off the Benjamin exit, but the other direction. And so we have the two in blue there that were originally requested. And then we did have, the light blue, the shaded one, that was the original request. The upper one that's outlined in blue is one that was asked to be added. And then we did have a complaint from the property owner down to the south in yellow that said that it did not meet the requirements. The staff has addressed those in the staff report of we feel it does meet the state requirements and the county requirements.
So the yellow property objected to the ag protection,
right.
Though. Okay.
And essentially, where it's basically an overlay of zoning over a property, it doesn't affect outlining properties.
Sure. Okay, any comments or questions on this one?
Easier for me on the roads here, I think. Am I wrong, Richard?
No road.
One existing. So. Yep. And it's UDOT.
Do we need a foot on that one? Do we need to specify
How many feet do you
how
want?
many feet?
I don't know what the footage would be for the UDOT facility, but it is defined by right-of-way fences. It would only be it would only be right there where the existing or the original application was, where it says section 27. There's just that little piece right there that would be the only affected parcel. And
There
I
is a
think you
fence
just, I
line.
think you just exempt the existing roadway with the, fence line to fence line. I don't know what the distance is. I'm sorry. I don't know that.
Dale, do you feel comfortable with us saying fence line to fence line? Yeah, of the existing roadway. Okay. Make a motion to approve. But they, on this one, they say existing road line, there is a fence line. There's only that one little section.
Well, let's not engage. Go ahead, Commissioner Gardner.
I'll make a motion to approve item number 8, exempting existing roadway to the fence line.
Second.
Okay, same notation. I'd like to include the road. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
Okay, good work, everybody. That one very good. Okay, number 9, Greg and Bryce. I'm not sure yours is gonna go as good, but we'll try.
Bryce had me, Greg Robinson from Community Development. Bryce had me come up here so that I could take the first rocks and then he can. No, I'm just kidding.
You get the rocks, then he cleans up the mess.
I love when Bryce just can't stay back any longer and runs up here.
Drags me out of there. So this item is before you was continued from your previous commission meeting. We've made changes from the red line version that was before you previously. Those changes have been included in your in the agenda. I know that Bryce has some wants to address kind of some of the comments that we've received, so I'll let him do that. If you have any questions, we can address those after that. Oh, sure. Sorry. The original changes were to address non-conforming existing parcels and that are currently not conforming to our ordinance that for each specific zone. We wanted to allow both the property owner to be able to take advantage of a date less than the 80 years previously that we've been reviewing those parcels to up to 1992. The changes from that original, we've discussed those changes previously in the last meeting. The changes that we've made since include recognizing, in addition to recognize existing parcels that are vacant that have received either some like zone clearance, court decision, or other kind of recognition that I'm sure Bryce is going to give additional detail on that that we recognize as a determination for a legal parcel to be buildable. It does not have a minimum acreage for that, as was discussed in our previous meeting. The other change to this from previous was that we've changed, we didn't specifically discuss this, we addressed it to some degree, but the commission didn't specifically direct us to increase the number of years, but we've increased that from originally saying 3 years to 5 years for somebody to be able to get a permit pursuant to a dwelling. So if they pursue the ability to build on that and get a permit, then they would be recognized as a vested parcel. Any questions for me?
They don't actually have to build, they just have to pursue.
They would have to get based on the changes, they would have to get a permit. So they'd have to get a permit for a dwelling. They don't necessarily have to have that built by the time the 5 years starts, but they'd have to have a permit for that dwelling, meaning they'd have to go through the process of getting any improvements or any kind of approvals from other departments that are necessary for developing that property for a dwelling.
And the burden would fall on the landowner. Like they need to know in the 5 years this is happening. We won't have any notification.
Other than the public meetings, no, that we're having currently, no. And there's probably not a good mechanism for us to be able to identify every one of those throughout the county. So.
And to even have a deadline is to just kind of get things as best we can up to.
Yeah. So yeah, the intent of the transition period is to be able to give people an opportunity, if they've been pursuing the ability to build on the property, to be able to kind of continue to do that without pulling the rug out from underneath them in that pursuit. So it gives them enough time to be able to get everything in order to kind of get that permit without this ordinance
Affecting them.
affecting them. Yeah, correct. Bryce Armstrong staff, just to add to that, that's kind of rare. I mean, most time you do a zone change, you're like, you got to meet the new requirements. The county did do that, a similar grace period in the late 70s when they kind of developed our current requirements and gave people that 3 years. So we were just trying to be consistent with that.
Do we still have, I'm sure you saw Mr. Bromwell and Mr. Cusick's comments the last day. Do we still have any gap in agreements there?
Yeah, so I'll address those. I'll reference the email you received today. I think Greg kind of touched on some of those. There was a question about what constitutes a determination that the Utah County Community Development has. It was inferred that was just a zone clearance. That does include zone clearances. It could include a building permit approval, a variance request, a court order. We wanted to encompass anything that was determined to be eligible. So
to answer that question, yes, anything that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The other question on that was, I believe the author, Mr. Cusick, has recently submitted some zone clearances, I think earlier this week. Both state law and the land use ordinance kind of set the standards on what's called a pending ordinance. Anytime you have a pending ordinance in place, an application that is received after that pending ordinance has been noticed through the proper channels, that application is subject to the results of that pending ordinance. And so any zone clearance that has been filed or a building permit after we noticed this original text amendment back in December would be subject to the results of the amendment. And so then the other email, Mr. Bramwell's email, talked about two kind of gaps, so to speak. One is the time frame, this grace period that we're calling it. He suggested that 3 or even our new proposal 5 was too limited and had proposed 10. We feel 5's pretty generous. So there's kind of a gap there. It is what it is. So I'll let you guys determine that. And then the other was our proposal has a restriction on the size of a vacant parcel that has existed prior to 1992. We have that restriction as 1 acre. It has to be at least 1 acre to be eligible to get a permit during that grace period. And that was to be consistent with what our minimum requirement was when we first enacted zoning in 1942. Mr. Bramwell's email wished to see that 1 acre removed. So there was a gap there. If the commission has an appetite to adjust that, we have a few guardrails prepared to share to address that. Yeah, and the other element that was mentioned in Greg's information is there was also a reference to an ordinance being created that is, for lack of a better term, a post-approval ordinance that was referenced in the advisory opinion. We didn't feel that 2 weeks was enough to prepare that. We feel maybe the changes that we had proposed would address the immediate concern, and that would be better served as that would actually have to go back to the Planning Commission because it's a substantial change. Mr. Bramwell indicated that there potentially is some pending legislation related to that. He hasn't provided us, from what I'm aware of, a bill, but it's probably best to see where that lands, and then if there is guidance from the state, then we could follow up either way with a subsequent ordinance for those that have a post-approval ordinance. We kind of feel that this addresses the post-division approval. But anyway.
Any other questions for Bryce?
I would be interested in what the guardrails are on any property under 1 acre.
Yeah, so, and
You're asking what they are.
Yeah, because he said he had some prepared
Yeah.
just in case, and I would like that.
we kind of talked about the concern of, I think the immediate concern from the people that have voiced opinions have been from a certain area. It's up in Sundance. In fact, the email included some densities or some lot sizes of surrounding areas. It's important to note that those are within approved developments with access to a central water system and potential sewer. And so we'd hate to have those type of densities allowed everywhere in the county, particularly in the RA5 zone or agricultural areas. I think we have a good example with our ag protection areas of trying to eliminate people that aren't used to the agricultural lifestyle. Not eliminate, but to kind of buffer that. And so we would propose that any parcel that is located in a residential area as defined by our general plan, that is specifically 3 zones: the CE2 zone, which is all the Sundance area and other mountain developments, our TR5 zone, and our RR5 zone, those areas on the fringes of cities that have a little higher density. We would propose that there is not a minimum requirement of acreage in those areas. And then the areas that are within an agricultural area or a watershed area, as defined by our general plan, the RA5 zone, the mining and grazing, our grazing zones, those would have that 1 acre requirement during that transition period.
If we were to leave the 1 acre, there is a way to petition to one-off parcels can be fixed later.
Yeah, if they're less than 1 acre, they would have to go through a subdivision process. The challenge with our current ordinance is in this area that the property owners have referenced, to do a standalone subdivision, you have to have 20 acres. Now, if you can piggyback an existing adjacent subdivision, then you just add your lot to that, assuming you can meet all the requirements and have access to those services that subdivision is provided with. So that's probably the only angle to, if a person has less than 1 acre, to get a permit on that during that transition period.
Well, and I'm okay with it not being the whole county. I think there's only those areas that we've talked about, right?
Any questions for Bryce?
No, I appreciate the comment that we can come back. We can address, and not that we like to waste or take up more time doing such, but,
To be honest with you, the changes, the guardrails, really are going to accommodate most
Get us
everyone.
there, right?
What's
Yeah.
that?
It gets us there.
Yeah,
It does.
I would agree.
It pretty much.
And you're comfortable with them?
We are, because they still have, I mean, obviously we preferred our original proposal, but I think that I think with the other requirements of building, you have to have an approved sewage system and you have to have water source. Those are limiting factors.
Yeah.
And so
That's why I think it's unreasonable to require an acre in Sundance.
Right. That's why I like this idea I like the guardrails. I'm fine with that.
Now that it's up to the property owner to secure that water, and that may be a challenge, but at least there's a path.
There's a path.
Yeah, and we're not the ones impeding on that path.
The other concern is it is an area in the wildland urban interface. You hate putting a lot of density in areas that are high danger, high risk fire. So
we have the WUI, and we're dealing with the WUI
they'll
stuff
have to
right
meet
now.
They'll have to meet the requirements of WUI.
Right. They have to meet the requirements of WUI anyway. I think we've got between the health and safety requirements, the other WUI requirements, I think we've covered health and safety in general. I favor adding the less than 1 acre with your guardrails. Gives it a narrow scope. I think it's a good compromise.
It can always be changed too.
Right.
You don't want to open it too broad.
Right.
It's easier to
Right.
expand than pull back. Right. And some of these properties, if they don't have road access, they're going to have to figure that out.
Right. I'm fine with that. I like it with your guardrails.
Good. Okay. Well, I'll take any public comment if anyone has any.
Thanks, guys. Craig Cusick. I'm here again. This is my second meeting in my life I've attended, so it feels good to be an active participant in this in this county now. Very good.
Vested interest. Love that.
Absolutely. And I won't speak for Chris Bramwell. I'm sure he's listening to this. He's traveling for work, but I'm sure he'll respond via email with any additional thoughts he has. Couple comments on this topic from me. Number one, thanks for hearing some of the feedback that was shared last time. I think, yes, point number one, I'll just echo as a landowner in Sundance and very familiar with with many landowners up there because it's family land, many families up there that we're aware of. The 1 acre piece was the big piece for me that we're trying to get around, right? Some of these parcels are a tenth of an acre, others are not. Some are a third of an acre, right? So once again, totally happy to meet health and safety requirements. That's obvious, but this 1 acre flexibility, specifically in Sundance, thank you. That would be very important to us. I can't speak for other mountain communities, but for us specifically, that's great. And I think going back to some of Chris's comments last meeting, that is why we pay higher and specialized fire equipment and everything up there, right? It's not cheap, right? Because to accommodate situations like this. The second point that I just am trying to seek clarity on, as it relates to the zone clearance requests, I did submit a handful of clearance requests this past week once I became aware of the new amendment that was pending. And in the current amendment, it reads, as it relates to these zone clearance requests, it reads, a vacant parcel that has been recognized by Utah County. The piece that I'm trying to get clarity on is recognized. What does recognized mean? For example, one of the lots that I own in Sundance, and maybe you answered this in your comments, and sorry, we can go back to that, but one of the parcels that I own received a clearance request back in 1996. Was unaware necessarily that there was an expiration on that until more recently. And so this just goes back to what I'm trying to get clarity on is, does recognized mean that any parcel that has had clearance, regardless of expired or not in the past, falls under the existing ordinance? Or, right? So just trying to get some more definition around recognized so that we can just make sure, and it's not just for my parcels, it's also for other families' parcels who are not in these meetings, who I know are in similar circumstances, right? It would be a shame if they did not have a clear path to clearance just because they didn't submit a form, right, in time, or maybe there was an expiration that happened. So just trying to make sure, like my proposed recommendation on this point would be to have hopefully a minimum of you saw it in my email, a minimum of a 12-month period where we can still be under the existing ordinance rather than the new pending ordinance to allow communication, people timing, to be able to submit these clearances. And then secondly, my only other proposal here, based on the conversation today, is just to clarify, to state explicitly that any parcel with a previously approved zone clearance would qualify as a vested parcel under this section, right? Once again, whether it's expired in the past or not. So the last comment and reference, it would be some of these parcels, back to the 1 acre comment, were formed prior to 1942, which I believe is when the 1 acre piece became a part of this as well. So anyway, no, thank you. Hope that makes sense. Just want clarity on a few of those things.
Thank you.
Clarity usually comes through either Bryce or Dale.
I'm seeking Bryce.
I think I can do it. We'll see if I can get there. So the vested parcel definition, which is proposed to include a vacant parcel, has been recognized by Utah County as an approved parcel that qualified for a dwelling in which determination is filed. We explained what that could be. Those are going to be recognized indefinitely. There is no expiration on those. And so if and I know Mr. Cusick is referencing one that he has in possession that we used to have like a 180-day expiration on them, just because we wanted to see if the zoning had changed. Our attorney's office had recommended that we not do that so that we didn't open up a second opportunity for an appeal. And so if it had received an approval through the zone clearance process and it had that expiration and nothing else has changed and it's still eligible, then we're going to recognize that. And that's indefinitely. The transition period is the one that refers to the guardrails. in that period of time. So.
Okay.
To follow up with that, we generally, when we have somebody apply for a zone clearance, we'll check to see if there are existing zone clearances. Those existing zone clearances, if we've reviewed those and nothing has changed, then those zone clearances continue to exist, and we let the person that's requested those, that will send them that existing. If anything has changed and they've requested zone clearance, we will review that, and if the ordinance change or the parcel has changed in configuration or anything's changed with the parcel, we will go ahead and do a new one to reflect the changes to our ordinance. So anything that we say has an existing, we generally have reviewed and told them that nothing has changed and that still is valid.
Even though he sees an expiration date.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Does that answer your question?
Those run with the land. And so.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. If we recognize it at one point, we ought to always recognize it.
Agreed.
Just want to make sure you understood.
Yeah. Okay.
Question for Paul. Are you fine to take action with this new changed language, Dale?
I'm leaning on Dale on this one, so get
You're
the
fine.
nod.
With the new guardrails instead of the other one.
Yeah, you're allowed to make changes to the recommended ordinance as long as they don't basically become a new ordinance.
Okay.
Do we have that one uploaded? I didn't see.
No, we'll not the guardrail one. I knew we're calling it that, but we can get that uploaded or
How
sent
we want
on.
to form the motion if we don't have that one uploaded to the
Yeah,
system.
the redlined version was.
Joanne's got a copy. You have a copy?
Say it again.
Oh. Okay. Well, you can reference the copy that was passed out.
Greg
Yeah,
just gave it to you.
Yep.
Okay.
Jolene has one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll make a motion to approve with the item number 9 with the physical copy that we have that includes guardrails for including parcels under 1 acre under certain requirements.
Yeah.
Can I just ask for one point of clarification? Yeah. The version that you have with those guardrails does still maintain the 5 years.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay.
I'm good with that tentatively. I think if we needed to change that, we could.
Okay. Do we have, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great.
Commissioners, could I request a recall of consent item number 5? The negotiations came in, and so we can
I'll make a motion
just approve
to
it.
recall item number 5 from the consent agenda.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Yeah, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I will put that at the end, Ezra.
Okay.
Okay, next is number 12. I just wanted to hold this one because it's very exciting. Thank you, Adam, for your work. Dealing with me is not the easiest. But some big wins. Thanksgiving Point, we're supporting a big new project there. A new facility. They don't want to call them museums anymore, but a tech center and a 3D COSM dome, hopefully in the next 2 years. So that would be very exciting. Lehigh City has been very supportive. They were the first buy-in, taking the bond for them. They'll be paying the payments, but Lehigh was able to save them $7 million by holding the bond. And then we're helping pay those bond payments while it's under construction. A couple big wins every Tuesday or Thursday in August and February will be $5 for Utah County residents. So that was a lot of feedback that we had heard at the Lehigh level and the county level was if we're helping out, we need to see some direct benefits. So that was a big win, as well as one Saturday a year will be a Utah County Day for $5. They've been great partners. They're very crucial to our economics of the county. I had Explore Utah Valley pull the numbers for me during this negotiation, and a very significant area to the county. in competition with Provo downtown. So that's significant to us. So they're great partners. They do amazing stuff culturally, economically, and very happy with the contract that we came up with.
Yeah, I think to add to that, roughly 10% of the children in this county live in poverty, and they make sure that every one of them gets the opportunity to learn, grow, create at free of charge. So that's huge as well.
I'll make a motion to approve the sponsorship agreement between Utah County and Thanksgiving Point.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Number 14. Do we have names, Ezra, or we want to hold it for close?
We have a letter of interest from Yvette Rice. That's the only one.
I did see that. Okay.
I could approve you, bet. She does pretty good work.
I don't see it here.
Was that a motion?
Yeah.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, going back to number 5 from consent.
Okay, they are fine with the change on the time reporting. They just had one change at the end of section 5, just the last sentence. And for clarity, I can just read that. Essentially says the same thing, but just in a different way. So instead of starting with notwithstanding, the replacement language would be notwithstanding the foregoing, MAG will participate in and cooperate with any HUD monitoring or review related to projects administered by MAG consistent with applicable HUD requirements. And we'll just upload that version.
And Paul, you're fine with that?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Don't sound too excited. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Now it's time for public comment. Do we have anybody from the public that would like to address the commission? Okay, seeing Attorney General Brown, do you have any public comment as you walked in? Okay. We appreciate your great service. And we will now go to closed session. Thank you, everybody.